Why hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. I'm Corny Swiss, and today I'll be driving the T-54 1947, and I'll also be flying Spitfire Mark 1A, I believe. The first Spitfire. It has 7.7s, no 50 cals on it. But before we get sort of into the video, I wanted to thank everyone for coming out to the 2 live streams this past weekend. I had a lot of fun doing them, and I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Hopefully it can become sort of a regular thing, but it's all down to what my schedule is week by week, and so we'll try to do it again next time I get the opportunity. But let's get into the gameplay. So I'm driving the T-54 1947. I just recently got it. I'm still developing an opinion about the tank. I'm going to be doing a full-fledged review of it in the coming days. But I felt like doing a video about this tank in particular, and then also I haven't really posted very much simulator gameplay, so I wanted to kind of nail 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. I mean, basically this tank is a lot like the T-54 in many respects. On average, the turret is just as thick as at the front. It's a smaller target, which I like. However, on the sides, it's not quite as thick, which can be an issue sometimes, but to me it's not a horrible issue because most of the time if you get shot in the side, you're toast anyway, right? Why would they shoot the side of your turret when they can shoot the side of your hull? And so far the only way I've been knocked out is an enemy tank shooting me in the side of the hull, not from the front. But what's happening right now is I've noticed there was a tank destroyer spotted over here. I had kind of expected there to be enemy tanks over here, but we weren't shot at as we were coming in. I think that's due to the fact that they were Jagdtigers and they weren't in position yet. But we're going to start spreading the good news in just a moment to this patient Jagdtiger. And the T-54 1947 gets the same gun as the T-54 or 51. So in that respect, its combat effectiveness is basically the same. However, I'm going to go to more detail about it in the review, but in my opinion, the extra hull armor is really critical. There's some break points that you achieve by adding the extra 20 millimeters of armor on that sloping, but I'll be talking more about that in the review. Now this Jagdtiger, I rushed my shot. It goes off his upper plate. He misses his shot, which is convenient for me. Now my tank is just far too mobile, and I can swing quickly around him, reload, and just plant one into him. So that's 2 Jagdtigers given the good news. And now there's... Initially I thought this game would be a difficult one. It turned out to be not too horrible. The enemy had a 4-man platoon, and obviously we didn't. But we're going to continue to spread the good news to this AI Tiger P. That's another tank I need to do a review on. I really need to do both of the first 2 King Tigers. I've already done the 105, but I really should do the other 2. I'll get working on those for sure. At this point, we have a very good idea of where the enemy are. They're kind of hemmed in down in the southern portion of the map. However, there's going to be a very sneaky Ferdinand, who's going to be basically in the same position as the Jagdtigers. And it's going to help me demonstrate something about this tank. I still believe that for the Russians, the T-54s should be your first rank 5, just because of how overarchingly good they are, in my opinion, and I'm sure many people agree. Now, if they should be in the game or not, that's a different debate, and one I'm not quite frankly I'm not going to engage in because it honestly kind of doesn't matter. They're in the game, and we got to play against them and with them. My first shot into the Ferdy got his driver, and something else there. I think his transmission. So he's basically a sitting duck now. But because I have all this extra hull armor on the front, 20 extra millimeters sloped back, my front armor is actually in excess of 200 millimeters. So it'll be difficult for him to penetrate my front plate with standard AP. You can do it with APCR, but that's where angling comes in. The front of my turret is still very, very tough, and that appears to be what he shot right there. It's still very thick, very rounded, and I'm continuing to move to try and make those shots tougher on him. Because if you sit there and sit still, maybe he could punch out my gun or something like that, and actually that's exactly what he did. I think what happened was he shot the front of my turret and the shrapnel hit my gun. But because his transmission is blown, for sure, I can just scoot up on right next to him, give him a nice little hug, and repair my gun. So I'm actually going to sit here and repair my gun, and he's actually, I think, going to leave before I get the chance to give him the good news. And there he goes, he just sort of randomly disappeared. But yep, that's the enemy team knocked out. That's the end of the game. So let's move on to the next replay. So here we are in a realistic battle. I believe we're flying against the Japanese in this battle. I'm in my Spitfire, and I've climbed to the healthy altitude of 5,500 meters. But I basically I've skipped through about 2/3 of this replay where I got up to this altitude and then just flew around, basically trying to be top cover and force the enemy down, but we actually couldn't find them for the longest time. And now what I'm trying to do is manage my descent and keep my speed low enough. One, because I don't quite know when this plane rips, but I also don't want to have so much speed when I get down there that I can't maneuver effectively or I rip in a turn. So I'm trying to manage my descent here about halfway through to get down here and help my teammate who's been set on by that, I believe it's a Zero. Oh, it's the float Zero. And I've realized that sometimes, a lot of times I like to get up to really, really high altitudes and then work down. Doing like a spiral turn seems to be a really effective way to lose altitude and kind of maintain a certain speed without exceeding a certain speed that you want. You can kind of tailor your descent and keep from gaining too much speed. So right here what I'm doing, I'm trying to line up my approach here so that I can get a really good angle on this float plane. And my teammate does like a flip or something that kind of messed up my attack, but you know, it's whatever. I got a few hits in. I thought these 7.7s would actually struggle, and in my experience the 7.7s can rip things up just like a 50 cal. Because I think it's because there's so many of them. You're kind of just like peppering the enemy plane. But there's a crit on his elevator. Elevator, I believe, usually means a kill. So I break off, and now I'm going to re-engage on this Key 45, who's having a go at some teammates. I really like, actually I really like realistic planes because the kills seem so much more satisfying. Because it takes so much more planning and so much more, it just takes so much more piloting, I guess, to figure out what to do. I'm assuming the reason why the enemy planes were all on the runway is they went off and bombed our carriers or something, and then came back to rearm when we found them. But at this point I'm going to make the decision that we kind of need to get back to the carriers. And myself and that Typhoon, I believe, are going to make the run all the way back to the carriers and try and prevent the deliverance of good news to our Navy friends. But as you can see, the enemy are getting shot down and or crashing. I assume that they were trying to bomb our carriers, and our carriers were obviously defending themselves and our other Navy guys over there. I really can't wait for World of Warships and War Thunder Naval Forces. But skipping ahead, because of that jump. Just to skip ahead to the end, because I flew over there and I flew back, and the enemy just crashed. So they ran out of players. We say GG. Spend all the ammunition. Do a few. Do I do some barrel rolls? Do some barrel rolls. Come on. It's time for some barrel rolls. No? Maybe not? Nope, no barrel rolls. But I've been enjoying realistic planes a lot. I'm getting better, I hope. But I want to thank you guys for watching. And again, thank you for coming out to the live streams. Hopefully we can do it again, because I had a lot of fun doing it. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.